Welcome to another conversation for the Millionairess magazine and the Millionairess movement. I'm Amanda Jane Clarkson, Editor-in-Chief, and today I'm delighted to be joined by celebrity fitness guru and former Aussie chick, Simone de la Rue. Simone began training as a classical ballet at the age of just 3 and has enjoyed a successful dance career spanning 2 decades, including performances on Broadway, London's West End, and in her native Australia. After retiring from dancing, Simone made a natural transition to the fitness industry and has grown a loyal base of celebrity and everyday clients with 2 studios in LA and 1 in New York. Simone is also a pre-postnatal exercise specialist with a desire to create a revolutionary exercise technique to safeguard against injuries for her clients while avoiding the habitual wear and tear as well as boredom. We'll get to that in a moment. Her devotion to her calling and her clients has led to the growth of her Body by Simone brand, as well as her reputation as one of Hollywood's hottest fitness gurus. Welcome, Simone. It is so lovely to have you as part of our Millionairess movement and the Millionairess magazine.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here speaking with you. So thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so lovely to hear the accent, even though you've lived in LA or in America for 13 years. I think once an Aussie, always an Aussie.
I know. The Aussie accent doesn't go. Well, if I'm around Australians, I start to sound more Australian. So
I can imagine by the end of our conversation, you'll be doing the old Aussie slang.
Yep.
So we've only touched on a small part of your journey so far. Why don't you share with us how to where you are right now actually began?
Yeah, so it was 10 years ago. I was dancing on Broadway. And remember I had my aha moment. I was in the dressing room filled with other dancers, and everyone was concerned about when the next audition was or when the next contract was for the next Broadway show. Because you last like either 6 months or 12 months, and then you're out of work again, and then you have to start, auditioning for the next job. And I had a moment where I just looked around at everybody and I thought, right, I want to start to take control of my destiny. I want to start to be my own boss. I don't want to have to answer to anyone anymore. I don't want to have to fit into a cookie cutter role. If they were looking for a 6-foot brunette and I wasn't that 6-foot brunette, I wasn't going to get the part. So I really had that moment of I'd done everything that I wanted to do in my dance career. I ticked all the boxes. And it was time, to move on. So it's like, what is it that I want to do? And I think as a dancer, you're so in tune with your body. I danced from the age of 3. So it's definitely a natural progression to move into fitness. Because it's like, your body is your tool and something that you know so well. But for me, it was more about now taking the ego out of it. Like, I'm not on stage anymore. How can I actually help transform other women mentally, physically, and spiritually through my love of dance and through my love of exercise? So then I decided that I wanted, to continue or wanted to do fitness. So I opened up a magazine. And there was a magazine of all these different celebrities. And there was a celebrity she had her makeup by and hair by and stylist by. And I thought, well, I wonder who, if someone trained them, because part of a Hollywood celebrity, you have the chef, you have the trainer, you have the makeup artist, so I thought, I wonder who did the Body By. And then that was that's a great business name, Body by Simone. So that's how the name was created. And then long story short, I worked with a couple of clients, and then it was word of mouth, and then I built the business that way. But it was really, the key of it was an aha moment of wanting to take control of my life and of my destiny and wanting to create something that was mine.
Oh, I love that you've touched on that, because that's the whole Millionairess movement, is about creating your own destiny, being the captainess of your life ship. And I love that. And so Was it a difficult transition for you to go off the stage where you have this persona, you're somebody, you're known as the woman who gets on stage and dances in Broadway, to getting out there and doing something completely different? Talk us through that moment, because I've no doubt you would have had moments of, oh my God, what have I done? Is this going to work? Am I going to fail? Am I going to succeed? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, I was a dancer for so long. And when everyone asks, what do you do? And you say, well, I'm a dancer, or I'm a dancer on Broadway. But then, moving into fitness, it was like, well, what do you do? And I kind of struggled because I was like, well, I'm a fitness trainer, but I have my own business. And then people would say, oh, what is that? Or I have my own fitness business. And it took me a while to really feel comfortable and take ownership of what that was. And of course I was scared and terrified. I remember signing the lease on my first studio and my hand was quivering. And I was like, I didn't want the landlords to see my hand shaking, because I was like, how on earth am I ever going to be able to pay this rent on this space? And I think that's where you take little bits from your past. And being a dancer and being an actress, I was like, fake it till you make it. You've just got to make this work. So I really took, my stage persona and performance into this new world and was like, right, this is the person that I am. I'm going to be this person, and I'm going to fake it till I make it. And I'm just going to, go for it. So yeah, there was a lot of doubt. But at the same time, I was really passionate about it. And it came from a place of love. And I always say this to any young entrepreneur: unless you're 100% passionate about what it is that you want to do, you're really going to struggle, because it will be hard work, But for me, it was something that was just such a gut instinct, such a deep-rooted love and passion, that it didn't feel like, a hard day's work. It felt like something that I, really wanted to do. So,
well, I can see that you're lighting up just talking about it. And I love talking about this because I share the same philosophy that you need a cause bigger than yourself, so that you can get through those days where it seems so hard, or everything's against you, or you're hitting those potholes in life. And I think it's incredibly important, because you would have days where you wake up and you go, oh my God, what have I done? Or I've made the wrong decision, or okay, I've signed the lease on my first dance studio, my fitness studio. What happens if nobody turns up? Because I used to be a personal trainer and I have my own studio. I'm certainly not a Broadway dancer, darling, but I know the first thing you think of, how am I going to pay all these bills? Walk us through those moments and how you switch your mind from going down the black hole to staying in the light.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I just was like, I had to roll up my sleeves, and I was like, not afraid of hard work. And I was, the bookkeeper. I was the front desk girl. I trained 7 hours. I cleaned the toilets. I really I was like, I'm going to make this work. However much time and love and sweat and tears, I'm going to make it work. So it was being able to multitask. It was being able to do, not afraid to get my hands dirty. I think the number one thing I would say is, word of mouth. If you do a good job, if you're kind, then you will do well. And it's like, yeah, you could pay all this money for marketing, all this money for advertisements, but the best advertisement is you, and the way you treat your staff, the way you treat your clients, and obviously the service that they're going to come back to. So it's like really focusing on, word of mouth is the best way to try and really build your business and grow your business, and coming down to just being kind, but obviously having to do the hard work as well.
Oh, I love that you said that, because in today's microwave society, so many people want overnight success. They'll see a chick like you, gorgeous, young and vibrant, and you've got hundreds of thousands of followers on social media, and they go, I want that tomorrow. What would you say to women who want to put themselves out there, but they're looking for that one side of life and success that you and I know does not exist?
Yeah, I know it's like the social media world now, the world that we're living in. Everybody's an influencer. Everybody is a professional or has an opinion about everything, which can be like, there's so much noise going on. But I think, up until this, where I am right now, is like 10, 11 years of hard work. Like if you'd asked me 10 years ago, did I imagine that I would have built this empire? Probably not, because right then I was just thinking about paying the rent. I was literally just thinking about, I've just got to get to the next day. I've just got to get to the next day. And that's just naturally how the business evolved for me. So I like once, my first studio was successful, then the money for that paid for the next studio. And when that was successful, it paid for the next one, which then paid for the app. And so it evolved that way, just from literally day to day of hard work. I didn't just wake up and all of a sudden have these things. It was, I remember sleeping on a blow-up bed in my first studio because I was training 7 and 8 hours a day, and I would go to sleep and wake up and do it all again. Like it definitely wasn't glamorous in the early days. I was just looking at just trying to make the rent.
Let's just talk about that for a sec, because I think it's important for every entrepreneur. I've gone through 14 different businesses. I know both sides of it. Those days when you're on a mattress, thinking about, I've got to pay the rent here, training your bum off for 14, 15 hours. I've no doubt you'd have a few dark moments. What did you do mentally to pull yourself through? Because we talk about mental health so much today. Mm-hmm. How did you get through those moments where you had so much self-doubt going on?
I think, I grew up with a hippie mum. We believed in creative visualization, positive affirmations. I practice what's called mirror minutes, where I look at myself in the mirror and say something positive that I love about myself. So whenever I would have those down days, I'd really try and, divert immediately to just thinking positively, create obviously the power of our mind is so incredible. Mm-hmm. But I always just think that when you're on the right path, things do naturally, organically happen. Yes. But it's especially just about coming from the right place and what your intentions are. Like if your intentions are to become rich and famous, then maybe that's, like maybe you've lost the point of it. Is that it's about the service, or it's about helping people. It's about making an impact. It's about, trying to change people's lives or change the world, rather than that exterior goal of fortune and fame. So I think coming back to meditation, coming back to positive thought, coming back to just self-worth and self-love and self-belief was just trying to cut the noise out.
That's just beautiful. So aligned with our message. We've got a big poster on our wall that says self-worth equals your net worth equals your life worth. Mm-hmm. And it's all about empowering from the inside out. And I just love hearing your words of encouragement, but also understanding that the thing you touched on that I'd love to delve into a little bit, is what we talk about, is when, as an entrepreneur, it's not about what you get in life, but who you become. And you talk about service and impact. How critical is understanding that from your point of view as an entrepreneur?
I mean, it's the base of everything. Like if you don't have a service, why are people coming to you? Like you have to have a service, and then the next thing is like, how good is the service, and I always say that when people come in, exercise is exercise. I can teach you to do a bicep curl, you could get it down the road, they could do the same workout. But what I've always taught all of my staff, and what my big belief is, that you're selling a feeling, yes. So yes. It's how you want to make that person feel. So it is the act of service of making them feel good. But then it's also, what kind of service are you presenting? But, to me, it's everything is how you make that person feel. What was the experience that they had coming in and out of the door? Because it's like anything. A coffee is a coffee, a Bosu ball, like a trampoline workout. You could do that anywhere, but it's how you make that person feel. That is
golden word, ladies. Write that down. I just love that you've brought that up, Simone, because people think it's about their product or their service or their particular message, but it's how they feel. That's really beautiful. So talking about that, we talk about mindfulness a lot. Mental health is such a big conversation these days. How important to mindfulness and mental health is exercise from your experience?
I mean, they go hand in hand. And for me, I've talked about this before, but, I kind of get the blues. And so exercise has always been my therapy. It's been my outlet. I always say that exercise is emotional, it's physical, it's spiritual. It's a natural endorphin. It's a natural mood booster. You're never going to speak to someone that's going to come out of working out and say, oh, well, that was terrible. I don't feel good. I feel worse. You're always going to feel better after working out. I think especially through this COVID and this isolation, more than ever, what I've suggested to people is, yeah, you're going crazy. Yes, this is testing. Yes, this is, separated from your loved ones. But yeah, do exercise. Get up, make that first thing that you do your exercise. It's going to put you in a much better mood. You're going to have energy for your day. You're going to get your metabolism firing. So you're going to eat better. You're going to sleep better. You're going to take care of yourself. You're making that time for yourself. So coming back to self-worth, you're making that time for self-love and self-care, which is vital and important. So yeah, I'm a huge, huge believer in that. Exercise is your therapy. And now more than ever, we have to take care of our mental health. So they really do go hand in hand.
Yeah, I'm with you all the way, girlfriend. And something I want to touch on now, so many, I'm talking to women, so I'm addressing women.
Yep.
I'm going to write a book called Excusitis, I think, next time. I know you're a mom. You run businesses. You're growing a business. You're a celebrity fitness guru. You're a guru to everyday people as well that come into your studios. You're doing a lot of stuff. But what would you say to those who believe that they don't have time to take care of self, taking care of others first? You know what women are like? Got to take care of everybody but themselves. Now, you are in the hot seat here to answer this. So what would you say?
Well, you can't take care of other people if you haven't taken care of yourself. That's number one rule. Like if your glass is empty, how are you? Like you can't refuel other people. You can't give your energy to other people if you have none for yourself. So there's an interesting conversation. It's not being selfish. It's actually the opposite of that. It's like carving out a little bit of time for yourself is important for you then to be able to go out and do what you need to do to help others. So it's easy to make an excuse. I think with exercise related, especially women, and I know what it's like. It's like I miss that hour workout, so then I won't do anything. Even just 10 minutes is beneficial. Even just 10 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes of stretching in the evening is carving out some time for yourself, and you're going to see and feel the difference. But yeah, if your tank isn't full, then you can't give to others. So you have to put yourself first at some point, or allow yourself to have a little bit of time.
I love what you're saying here, and I've seen some of your beautiful fitness routines, dance routines, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'd love to have those moves as much as we would be thinking that. So, okay, for everyday women sitting at home thinking, wow, it sounds amazing. I've seen Simone's website. Wow, wow, wow. Where do I begin? If I've never done it before, is there something easy that we can start with through what you do? Do you take beginners?
Yeah, so I offer a lot of, I've always said I'm known as a celebrity trainer, but one of my beliefs is that exercise shouldn't be a privilege. It should be for anyone, anytime, any age, any fitness level. And, I don't take myself seriously. And I always say, leave your ego at the door, come in and have a good time. So I always recommend to people, when you're trying to work out for the first time, all you have to do is stay in the room. That's the first thing that I want you to do. So I offer a lot of different services. I offer on YouTube. I've got a lot of free workouts on there. I know like my Sweaty Betty workout has got millions and millions of views. But I also have my app, and that has plenty of workouts, and a lot of them are just 10 minutes. So it's like, just start off with 10 minutes. And then once you've mastered that, you can go back and add on another 10 minutes before you want to try the live 30-minute classes. So there's definitely a lot of options and a lot of choices. And I think, just get in there, dive in there, and just begin. That's the most important thing. And then each day you can add on a little bit more.
So, ladies, whatever excuse you've got, you won't get past Simone. She's got an answer for everything.
Excuse.
I love that. Such an Aussie, right? Got an answer for everything. Okay, let's walk through now the moment in time where you decided to vacate beautiful Australia, spread your wings and go to the US of A. I love USA, and start a business. I mean, that is a big move. I've done it myself, but only for 6 months. You've been in there for 13 years, you said. Walk us through what happened. Did you wake up one morning and go, I'm out of here, or what? What happened?
Well, I actually I did a bit of a circuit. So I left Australia, and then I went to London, and I was in London for 5 years, and I did the West End and theatre in London, and then I came over to the US. So for me, it was the dancer's path first. So Australia, I was born in England. I had a British passport. It was easy to get to London. Once I'd done London's West End, it was a dream to do Broadway. So then headed over to the US, to do, and I think, so many Australians, they want to win the green card. That's really an aspiration to try and get to the US. If you're in LA, it's for TV and film. If you're in New York, it's for theatre. So I, obviously did the theatre, and that's when I had the aha moment. I'd done, musical theatre for 18 years. I was really ready to hang up my heels and move into try something else. So at that point, I'd actually been away from Australia. Gosh, I've been away from Australia for 22 years, so my math isn't great, but it was a long period of time that I'd been away from home, and I just thought it's interesting if I tried to start BBS in Australia, or even if I had tried to start BBS in Europe or London, I don't think I would have had the same success here. And that is one thing that I do really love about America, is that you have a dream, absolutely you can do it. Australia has that tall poppy syndrome a little bit.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that doesn't exist here. And whether people are speaking through their behinds here, a lot of it's like, but it still is, it is a land of opportunity, and is that idea of that anyone could be president.
Yes. I think that's was the attraction for myself. I just have this thing about Americans, and look, I've only ever been treated with kindness. I've noticed that Americans, in my experience, okay, which is limited, but they've always gone out of their way to help me. Who can I introduce you to? How can I help you? How can I be of service? I mean, even the women that I get to have conversations for Millionairess magazine are so giving, so banded together, and so encouraging. It's different than here. And it's just the way it is, it's a capitalistic country. And, as an entrepreneur, the dream is alive and well, as it is here, but it's a little different, isn't it? And I'll say that openly. And I love that you had the courage, because I think that's what I really want to touch on, Simone. It takes a lot of courage to do what you did, and set up a successful business. So speaking of courage, how did you attract your first celebrity client?
I love that courage. It's like courage, because just going back to that quickly, I never operate on fear. So I never make a decision based on fear. So I guess that's where the courage comes into it, because it's the opposite, right? Like, don't be fearful, just be courageous. So I guess the celebrity clientele, that was just really by luck. That was one of those moments when it's like the universe comes together, and it was luck, but it's how I chose to deal with that opportunity. I think once being Australian actually really came in handy, because, we're dealing with a lot of celebrities here in the US. They are used to having people around them that just say yes all the time. And I think, our laid back personality and having a bit of a joke and easygoing, I just tried to really treat the celebrity as I would anybody else. And that really, responded and resonated with them, because I wasn't there saying, yes, ma'am, whatever you want. I was really just treating them like a person. And I think they respected that. And so that was my luck of a celebrity coming into my world, but then how I chose to work with that and make them feel comfortable, provide that service, provide that feeling, and provide that word of mouth, because that celebrity, I treated them with respect. I didn't sell them out. I treated them just like an everyday person. And then they had such a wonderful experience that they went and told their celebrity friend, who then had the same experience and went and told their celebrity friend. So that's basically how I grew the business, was just off the service and off word of mouth and being kind.
Oh, I love it. And so you've got the 2 studios in LA and 1 in New York, or has it grown beyond that since
No.
I saw this?
Yeah, so it's 2 here and 1 there. COVID is very testing times, and so now, speaking about being an entrepreneur, it's about having to pivot. It's about how, looking at now, which I love when you said you've had 14 different careers. I feel like I'm going to be coming into my next 3rd career now, is just really looking at how do you evolve. If physical spaces here are taken away and you can't have that one-on-one interaction, where do you go from here? And I'm lucky that I have my app. I had my app 2 years prior to this, but that will never compete with the in-person feeling and that energy that you get when you share with someone face to face. But now I'm finding, I've created this empire that based on physical spaces. And now I'm like, how do I translate to the online world? How do I translate that and evolve and pivot to move forward? So that's where I am right now, is really at a crossroads again. It's exciting and it's also terrifying, because I feel in a lot of ways I'm starting again.
Yeah, I love this authentic conversation we're having, because I think as entrepreneurs, we're all having to pivot, re-look at everything, how we do everything, be more open-minded, be more open-hearted, but discover new ways to get the message out there. I mean, so in America, you have a big shutdown, probably more so than, well, where I come from in Queensland, it's been easy.
Yeah,
No, it hasn't been for Melbourne, has been the hardest hit. Sydney as well. But are your spaces still shut down, or are you open for business now?
No, they've been shut for 8 months.
Oh my God.
And we have these very expensive overheads that we're supposed to pay, and landlords that still they have mortgages to pay. So yeah, it's a very the fact that I'm speaking to you now and being very authentic, it's a terrifying moment for me right now, because everything that I've spent 10 years building is disappearing in front of me. We don't know what when we reopen, we don't know when that is and what that'll look like at 30% capacity or 50% capacity, and you've got 7 people in a room. Like, how do you pay the rent? How do you even pay the staff on that money? So it's now looking at, I think, when you look at a real entrepreneur, is allowing and knowing when that moment might be gone, and to start looking into the future, not desperately holding on. You've got to evolve, you've got to pivot, and you have to be courageous, and you have to see what is next. So maybe talk to me this time next year and we might be having a different conversation. I'm really interested to see where everything is going to shift and to move to.
Hopefully this time next year I might be in America and we can meet up for a coffee.
Yeah,
because I've with 14 different businesses, I've had my fair share of heartache, but that's an entrepreneurial journey. Had it one day, lost everything the next. We've had floods, we've had the GFC, we've had businesses that just didn't work out. How important going through this time is mental stability for you? Because I think, so many people are not coping right now.
Absolutely. It is absolutely terrifying. It really is. One thing that I keep coming back to is, if all of this is gone tomorrow, it's a physical space. I still have myself, I have my health, I have my wellness, and the brand is still in me. The brand is still in me, and I can start again, and I can create again. So it's really having to hold on to that. I think if you get stuck and caught up in what was, or, you can really, you'll go through it mentally, but I know Americans here especially are really suffering. It's really think that there's such a need for mental health, and to be able to change the stigma around it, for people just to discuss it, and that there needs to be more open therapy and cheaper therapy and more readily available for people, going through this time.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, and it's something that I like to talk about, and helping people see the both sides and ask different questions. Instead of just focusing on the problem, let's ask different questions about how the future can be different. But I agree with you. We need more focus on it and more open conversations, and not to feel embarrassed and ashamed. I think that that's what stops a lot of people. I'd love your thoughts on it, because you don't want to appear weak, especially women. We try and be strong for everyone, and pretend everything's okay. But some days as an entrepreneur, you really hit the skids. Well, I know I've hit the dirt so many times I can't even count anymore. But it's not something to be ashamed of. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. You know what I think is interesting about being a boss is that, you hire people, and you've got your crew, and of course you have to be the one that everyone looks up to, and you've got to be the one that's giving advice, or you hire people that can then take it on, and you've got these staff that you're managing. But at the end of the day, who takes care of you? Who takes care of me? And so that comes back to the self-worth and the self-love and the self-care, is carving out that time, that if you don't have that for you, how are you going to be expected to keep your team motivated and inspired? But I think we can't be ashamed to talk about our mental health. There's ego that gets in the way, or it's that eye rolling thing of like, oh, well, everybody's depressed or everybody's anxious, or and in small ways we all are. Obviously, some are more extreme than others, but it's the power of conversation. Women are good at having conversations. Men's not so much. But yeah, having the courage again to talk to your peers or talk to someone about it, that immediately just takes such a weight off you, because you've actually admitted it, you've actually expressed it verbally, and then you can start to take the layers down and go from there. But yeah, don't be
Even
ashamed.
getting it out on paper, if you can't feel that you can talk about it. I'm a big writer. I really believe in journaling a lot, writing down the both sides of it, the positives and the negatives, and just trying to find a balance, I think, is so important, because getting into depression or anxiety is focusing on all the negative. I know it's easier said than done, but I have found as an entrepreneur, I've got to stay mentally strong to cope with business. And I can only imagine, I've been in your shoes. I haven't had 3 rents to pay at once, especially New York City and LA. I can only imagine that some days you must wake up thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? 8 months. I thought it would be a month at the most when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a big carry on, but it's a long time to get through it, right? And so you must be a very, very strong woman inside as well as out, and I can see that. The days that you wonder where it's all going to end, you obviously have spirit to keep going, because there's something that you absolutely love and inspires you. What is it that most inspires you then about what you do, that keeps you going with courage?
Yeah, I think I started dancing from a young age, at the age of 3, and it's always been my therapy, but it's a creative expression and outlet. It gives you discipline, ambition, focus, strength. Become a perfectionist, self-love, self-worth, self-care. And I thought, there's so many women sometimes get frightened by the word dance or intimidated by the word dance. And what I really wanted to do is bring all the positives and beautiful aspects of dance to the everyday person. I wanted them to be able to share in the love of dance without feeling like, oh, I'm going into, Australian Ballet Company right now, and I'm, trying to dance next to these people. It's like, no, be silly, be foolish. Like, you'll pick up the choreography slowly. But yeah, it was really about wanting to share my love of dance with as many women as possible. And there's something, it's different to just working out and just doing, riding your bike or going for a run. When you actually master a dance, you learn the choreography because you're having to use your brain, it's teaching you coordination, but you mastered this dance and you're dancing and expressive and being creative. And a very powerful feeling. And so it was like me trying to help women really get in touch with their inner power, and their inner stage princess, and feel confident about themselves.
You light up when you're talking about it. You clearly love what you do. And I bet you laugh all day long. I mean, I was not a personal trainer, nothing to your standard, but I used to laugh all the time. And I just I think you'd have such an impact on, well, you do guys and women, correct? You're open for business.
Mainly female audience, but there, guys will come in as well. But you have to have a laugh. Oh my God, you can't take yourself too seriously. Yeah. And laughter is the best cure, it's the best medicine.
So, Simone, with so many women, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of women will be inspired by your story. You are so courageous, and you've done so much in your young life. And we've got so many entrepreneurial women watching this. What other advice would you love to share from your heart, the stuff that you've gone through that you really would think that would make a positive impact on somebody else?
Yeah, I think it's hard work. People will look, at you and I and think it's glamorous, or look what they see on social media and think that is glamorous. It comes down to, it's such hard work. No one is going to work as hard for you for your business as you. So you have to be prepared to show up and do it. If it's only hard work and there's not passion involved, it's going to be just hard work. So find something that you truly love and you're truly passionate about. I think it will evolve organically because you're coming from the right place. I like to tell my story is that I didn't grow up with money. I didn't get a Bachelor of Arts in business. I didn't even really have a business plan when I opened my first studio. I operate on instinct and I operate on gut. And so whenever something felt right, that's where I made the decision from. I wasn't one of these people that had a deck and had the numbers sorted out. Whether that's great business advice, no, but it's another way at looking at business. Is like operating from, heart and spirit and gut and instinct. There are two ways of doing business, and that's how I grew mine. And that's one thing that I like to tell people is that you don't necessarily need to have a business degree to start your own business. You have to do something that, you love and that you're passionate about. And there's going to be failures, but there's not a failure. It's a lesson. There's going to be plenty of lessons along the way, and, experience the ups and downs and learn from them, and grow. But if you want to do it and you're thinking about it, but you're too scared, I say just go for it, because there's nothing worse than saying what if, or I wish, or I should have. You don't want to hear that. Well, I was going to do this. I was going to start my own business. Do it. Try, attempt. You're probably going to succeed because you've tried. Sitting back and saying, oh, well, I should have, or I was going to, so don't operate from fear again. Be courageous.
Oh, it's so invaluable and such sage advice. And honestly, sitting here chatting with you, it's one of the most authentic conversations I think I've ever had. And I can really feel you, but you light up from the inside and you're living and leaving a legacy. And you will get through this. I can see it because you're an Aussie at heart and you have so much courage and mental stability. And I think your spirituality plays a big part in this. And if Simone can get through all this, ladies, you've got no, I was going to say freaking excuse.
Yeah.
Don't even start. It'll never work. I mean, I have loved this conversation. However, I've got one really important question I need to ask before we finish up. Simone, what specifically would you love to be known and remembered for?
That's a good one, because here in Hollywood, I'm known as the celebrity trainer, and people interview me and ask me, well, how do I get so and so's arms, or how do I get so and so's bottom? And I'm like, so what I would love to, my legacy is that exercise should be fun and joyous, that it should not be a privilege, and that I want to be known for like just spreading love and making women especially fall in love with cardio again, fall in love with exercise, and just it being about a spiritual connection to themselves and finding their inner strength. So really, from a holistic point of view, I don't want to be known as the celebrity trainer or even having the different businesses. Just that I was able to help transform people, some women, and give them reconnect to their internal strength.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I can see that you're living that now. And you're such a delight. And I so appreciate this conversation. Where can we find more about you, follow you? Ladies might want the app, because I'm sure you are going to ignite so many little fires within after this conversation.
I love it. Well, first of all, it's been delightful speaking to you. And I just love Aussies, and I forget that how down to earth and easygoing, and this has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
But I'm at Body by Simone. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I was just going to see if I could get up my app, but I don't know what's happening here on my phone.
I was checking it out last night, ladies.
And then the Body by Simone app, if you go to the App Store, you search it, and there's plenty of workouts on there at Body by Simone.
She's got the moves, ladies, let me tell you. I see, I don't even have that rhythm. But I would turn up and have a good laugh. I tell you what, when I get back to Hollywood or Santa Monica, that's where your studio is, isn't it?
Yeah, but one in Brentwood and one in West Hollywood.
Beautiful. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a class, and if you want to laugh, check it out.
Yeah.
I love it. I just love your story. I love your courage, and I love that you are such a lighthouse for others, and to be part of the Millionairess movement and the Millionairess magazine, you are truly integral. And I thank you again, Simone. And I know this is not our last time. I will be definitely calling you up when I get over there and say, let's have a cuppa and chat about this crazy last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have a beautiful afternoon, and you take care.
I will. Lots of love.
Mwah. Bye for now.